Frank has done a great job with that. I hear it firsthand because I share a wall with that room, so I hear it over the course of the week, whether I like it or not. But those guys have, we've always had good leadership in there. I think that, that's one of the things that Riley has done a great job kind of coming in and pushing it over the top, because you had good veterans with Xavier and Q and Trey Hopkins and Jonah's learned. He's in his third year now where he's really playing ball, and then you get that 10-plus year vet like Riley who comes in there and just kind of pushes the whole thing right along, piggybacking off what some of those other guys had already been establishing. And we have a lot of young, impressionable rookies too. We added 3 to the mix who were right there, and you can kind of form them the direction you think it needs to go from a culture standpoint. So I've been really proud of how that room has evolved over the course of the season, and it does show with some of the synergy that they have in that room.
Zac, the last couple of weeks you guys have been able to kind of exert your will, if you will, in the fourth quarter, run away from teams, put games away, all the things that good teams do. Right? Is that a big focus of yours with the team, that, hey, when we have a team down, put them away?
Yeah, we kind of used that UFC metaphor a couple weeks ago when we were, I guess, in Detroit. When you get them on the mat, you got to finish them off, and our team has really taken on that identity, because that's part of being a consistently good team. Is when you got teams down and you got good talent, that talent starts to take over and you keep them down and you start to build on that lead. And the last 2 weeks, I think our guys have started to develop that mentality better than maybe early in the season.
So you're seeing the guys up front, identity, is he progressing his identity on a daily basis, showing you more and more?
Yeah, we've got a little more time with him, so we'll keep working him in the mix this week to see how far along he is. He just had the 3 days last week, and so I think, he hasn't gone since May. So I'm optimistic he's picking it up mentally. He looks good physically. We'll just continue to give him at least these 3 days and then decide if we want to go this week or next week, and we still got some time with him.
Your team's received plenty of national attention the past couple of days. What are you hoping to see from them starting today? Well, I guess starting in the walkthrough all the way throughout the season.
Yeah, energy from practice today, and we get an opportunity to play 3 straight road games and get 3 wins out of the deal. And it's not something we talked about a lot over those first 2 games because we were just very narrowly focused on beating Detroit and beating Baltimore. Now you get a chance to really hammer home a 3-game road trip, and I think that's critical to our development. Some of you guys have been around here these last couple of years. We had 15 straight road trips where it did not go our way. And so to really have a chance to flip the script on that and change our mentality, start to enjoy some of these bus rides and plane rides and locker rooms after a win is a big deal to us. And so, again, this is a good way to cap it off, but we got to have a really strong week, because if there's any lull whatsoever, these guys will get after us.
It was a year ago this week you guys added Quentin Spain. Just from your perspective as head coach, what do you remember about that week?
I was grateful that he'd played a lot of ball, because we met with him the morning of that Tennessee game. And I've never in my life gone through film and a modified walkthrough in a hallway before on game day with a potential starting line. He didn't start. He came in, I think, about 5 plays later after we benched that guard. But he picked it up. It made sense to him. I was very grateful that he had a good football IQ, because I didn't know when we added him. He's a physical guy. He's just about all the right stuff, and he's done a really good job for us this year.
The stats say he's playing really well this season. Can you just describe what he's doing?
Yeah, the tape says he's playing good. He understands it, makes sense to him. The game, I can't speak for Quentin. I know he just got up here and spoke, but it seems like it's really slow for him. He sees it and can process it. He's a really good communicator. He's really strong. He can anchor. He's physical and strong with his punch. So he's played a lot of ball, and he's not the loudest guy. I don't hear him a whole lot. I know he's got a great personality in that room. You guys got a feel for it just now, I'm sure, but he just quietly goes about his business.
Because of the struggles you all had in recent years, most of the teams this year for those, do you feel the need to remind them to kind of stay level after a little streak like this?
There's different ways to phrase that, I think. It's just we can't. We're in the early part of this season. We haven't done anything. 5 wins isn't going to do anything for you at the end of the season. And so we're just focused on being 6-2, finishing this 3-game road stretch the right way, and just continue building on this consistent behavior and level of play that we've had, and keep getting better as each week passes.
Is that message
which part of it?
Just staying focused on the next thing. I know one of his quotes after Sunday's game was, "This is who we are now."
Yeah. People respond to your quarterback, and again, he's one of the hardest workers on the team. He knows what it's like to win a championship over really the course of an NFL season, however many games, that 15 games or whatever it was. It's very similar. So it does help to have that mindset at a key leadership position like we have with Joe.
Can you elaborate on how miserable it is to travel after a loss?
Yeah, there's nothing worse in this world of eating whatever you're eating on a bus, a quiet bus, getting on a plane ride, and watching the tape and just being mad at yourself. Yeah, it's the worst, because you don't have a chance to put it behind you until, days down the road. At least when it's a home game, you can sit up in your office and watch the tape after the game and then go home and go right to bed. The road trip, you've got a planes, trains, and automobile situation you got to endure. So I don't want to do that anymore.
There's been a lot of talk about the different packages and the different looks Lou brought in the game on Sunday. Before the season, I asked him if the defensive staff spent the extra time game planning against the division, and he said that there was a dedicated amount of time on the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers. Did you see some of that pay off in the performance on Sunday?
I think it's necessary, especially against Baltimore, because it's rare that you play a quarterback that's as dynamic as Lamar and some of the things they do. Greg Roman's done a great job in this league in a bunch of different systems, winning a lot of games with this style of offense. And so they certainly spend a healthy amount of time on it. Utilizing your personnel is different until you get into the season. Trey Flowers played, and he went in there, and we didn't have him a couple weeks ago. So you gotta adapt your personnel to the packages you want to do. But the nuts and bolts, they do spend some time on that. Baltimore evolves, so the work you do in May and June to get ready for them does change as their personnel changes and their scheme continues to evolve. So there's some legwork that you're able to do, but ultimately until you get to the week of that game and you really see what they put on tape the last 5 weeks or so, you can't make all those final changes there.
I'm curious your view on the trade deadline through a specific lens. Is it just as simple as, hey, you got a good player that can make us better, bring him in here, but for a team chemistry, when you feel like you have something really good cooking, is there any ever concern about adding anybody new to a mix that is just really kind of meshing well?
I have not had those concerns just in general, whether it's free agents that are on the street or whatever, because our guys do a good job taking them under their wings and making them a part of the group, and I think I've seen some guys walk in the door and they got a smile on their face after the first day because I think they see an environment where guys are working hard, but they're enjoying the process. Trey Flowers, for you guys didn't get to see it, but his first play of team last week, he had an interception, on a deep ball where he was covering, Mark Andrews, and he ran down the field and picked it off and returned it for a touchdown. And so that's a pretty easy way to establish yourself on the team. Your first play, you get a pick in practice, and you immediately feel part of it. So I just think our locker room's got a good culture, and they do a good job welcoming players in whatever way, shape, or form we add them.
Do you feel like you guys should be open to or interested in something like that, considering the position you put yourself in and potentially trying to make a move to add for now?
I think that Duke Tobin, Steve Radicevich, they do a great job every week, whether it's trade deadline or not, evaluating ways to make our team better. And so, again, that's why you work guys out. That's why you bring in free agents, trade deadline or not. We're always looking at ways to maximize what we can do with our team, and that's really as general as I can make it.
Coach, speaking of Trey, he had, like 30-some odd snaps. He's long. He checked Andrews quite a bit. And how impressed are you with him? Short time frame to get familiar with everything and perform like that.
I think his experience played a role in that. He's played a lot of games in Seattle, and so he was able to come in. And again, we didn't try to teach him the whole defense. We just tried to teach him a limited role. But over time, you just continue to evaluate them and see how they fit their scheme and what different ways you can use guys. I often, my father-in-law, Mike Sherman, used to always say this: the more guys you can get involved with the plan, whether it's one play or 10 plays, the more everybody feels a part of it. And so I do think that's important when you got 53 guys. You can't always use them all, but trying your best to incorporate all of them goes a long way towards the camaraderie in the locker room.
What's been tough over your career facing a Robert-style defense?
They're very disciplined. They've always been good tacklers. They understand their scheme very well. You see that from these guys. They've had a lot of different faces over there on this defense over the course of the season, particularly a linebacker. to me, it starts at the front. They have a really good front. 95, Quinnen Williams has continued to consistently improve since the last time we saw him out here to where he is now. I mean, he is in tremendous shape. He's a tremendous playmaker. 94 is a great player as well. They got good depth behind those guys. We've got to work it out for us. These DBs are smart. They understand the scheme. They're doing a good job coaching them. And so, again, it's going to be a tough test for our guys on the road.
Do you have a relationship with Saleh at all from the NFC West?
I've met him a couple times. He and LaFleur are tight, and Sean McVay are tight. So, we're friendly. I've got a lot of respect for him. I know people close to me really like him, and he's going to get this team ahead in the right direction. You can see all that stuff on tape, and so again, we've got to work it out for us.
How tough to prepare for a guy that's never started an NFL game? I don't know if you know anything about Mike White.
Yeah.
Scout him, did you?
Yep. He must have come out one year I was coaching quarterbacks because I remember watching several of his Western Kentucky games. Really good college player, then spent that year in Dallas, and he's been at the Jets for a couple of years. So he's used to the rhythm of the Jets, not necessarily this particular scheme maybe. But I thought for a guy who was playing his first NFL game, when he went in, he played confidently. He didn't seem like a guy that was overwhelmed. He stayed in rhythm. A lot of those guys, you see him get skittish in the pocket. You're playing New England, and I thought that he did a really nice job coming in there and managing the game well. His first pass was a back shoulder touchdown on a corner route, down there on the goal line. That's not easy to do. So again, I was impressed with him, and I think the limited tape our guys have to watch of him, they'll see the same things that I've seen.
Are you at all, do you tell your team to be on the lookout for a little bit more intensity from the Jets for the point to prove after losing 54-13?
Just knowing Saleh's just what he's about, he's going to have these guys responding the right way, and I know that a lot of the staff can draw from their experiences in San Francisco. Their first year, they had a ton of injuries, very similarly to what they're dealing with now, and they got those guys to pull through it and fight. We played them at the end of their first year, and they started winning a bunch of games that first year in San Francisco. They won on a 6-game run at the end there or something, so I don't think they won their first 9, and then they won 6 in a row or something like that. So he's been a part of that before, and he's gotten it out of his guys. And I see a team that's on the verge of that, and we don't want it to start with us. And so, again, they play to their head coach's mentality, and like I keep saying, it's going to be a tough test for our guys on Sunday.
Going back to the deadline, if Steve or Duke see someone that they think can help you, do they go to you? How does that process? Do they go to you and say, hey, watch film on this guy, or how do they email you a flyer?
Yeah, this doesn't change this week as opposed to week 1. There's consistent communication, whether it's in person, through text, through email. We meet several times a week just in general to make sure that we're always on the same page with everything. So just because it's a couple days before the trade deadline doesn't change how we communicate. So, again, we always talk through this stuff.
How far away is Xavier Field maybe coming back to practice?
Yeah, he's making good improvements, so we won't activate that clock yet, but, he's starting to get better and better each day, I think.
How's Eli Apple done specifically since trade right now?
Yeah, I think the more he's played in the scheme, the more confident he gets. He's had a lot of success in his life, so now that he's back in the fold, he's getting a lot of snaps. You see that confidence within him that made him a first-round pick, and all the great things he did at Ohio State and things he's done over the course of this league. And, he's fit in great with these guys. He and Vaughn have played together for a long time, so to see that safety-corner relationship, you see them talking a lot. So we're happy to have Eli, and he's done a really good job for us.
When you guys think about bringing him in, was there something that you guys think other teams would miss him, which is why he wasn't able to maybe capitalize and potentially show at Ohio State?
Lou really liked him. Lou coached him in New York, and so when you know a guy because you've coached him, then there was a belief there that he could come in and help us, and so that's really what we fell back on.
More questions?
Okay, thank you.